Unicorn Store is the story of a likable and sunny, but just a little bit grating and irritating in an obliviously self-involved way, creatively stifled millennial who, having suffered a painful creative setback in their initial stab at adulthood, has defeatedly retreated back to their parents' home to rethink their lives, ultimately finding themselves at a crossroads between selling out and turning into a boring normie to get by, or becoming the person they still want to be, but this time in the right way by dealing with the underlying failure to launch issues that likely hobbled them the first time through the intervention of a quasi-Wes Anderson and or Michel Gondry-esque magical realism happening tied to a twee encapsulation of late 80s, early 90s consumer pop nostalgia. In other words, some stars find a niche, and evidently Brie Larson has decided that hers is going to be formula genre movies you were maybe kinda getting tired of seeing done 50 million times by dudes, but maybe you'd be marginally more interested in if it were done just a little bit differently by centering the story on the plucky, understated energy of an all-American sandy blonde with a signature look somewhere between 90s Meg Ryan and your mom's hot, but not in an overwhelmingly distracting way, divorced friend from book club.
I like this one.
Larson, who also makes her directing debut in this Netflix-backed dramedy feature, stars as the aforementioned stunted artist, a performatively adorable woman-child whose art fails to impress on the gallery scene largely thanks to her aesthetics sort of beginning and ending at thrift store Lisa Frank, stuck back with her overly earnest, at-risk youth counselor parents all too eager to offer generic life advice and going through the different because lady this time, which, just to be clear, despite my sarcasm about the obviousness of the format flip and genre targeting, actually does keep things fairly refreshing and what makes the difference there is to make here. Versions of the genre-mandatory back and forth between should I regress and dig out my childhood toys or put on a suit and get an office job routine, while the film similarly vacillates between being white girl sorry to bother you and needful things but this time happy. It's the second one that wins out as Larson finds herself summoned personally to the mysterious The Store by Samuel L. Jackson's Willy Wonka-esque proprietor, The Salesman, who informs her that he aims to fulfill her unrealized childhood wish of owning a real live unicorn, providing she can fulfill a series of gradually laid out tasks including building a stable for the animal, cleaning up her home life to provide a safe psychic space for it, getting her professional act together so she can afford it, etc. As near as she can tell, he's for real and so presumably will be the unicorn, which in turn gives her the confidence to not only perform the preparatory tasks she's assigned, but also to stand up for herself at her temp office job and at home and make a go of trying to take on the advertising presentation using her neglected art skills, and also maybe strike up something like a romance with the awkward but friendly carpenter she hires to construct the stable and establish an actual functioning adult relationship with her parents. You can pretty much guess where this is all going, what she's supposed to really be learning from this experience, i.e. growing up on her own terms but in the correct way, and even what the resolution is likely to be, and you'll probably be right. Hyper-originality really isn't this film's strong suit, and to its credit, part of its agreeably grounded, bittersweet humor is the honest but not unnecessarily cruel or mean-spirited acknowledgement that both its heroine's creations and persona are a bit on the familiar side, as is the film, and in that way it's easy to see why people find this reflexively self-pitying 30-something woman with a rainbow-bright life philosophy somewhat tiresome. In other words, it's a film that understands both what itself and its protagonist are. Still, one doesn't hopscotch from a Best Actress Oscar to a billion-dollar international box office champ and hottest shiny new thing of the Avengers franchise by not being good at this stuff, and while Unicorn Store is ultimately somewhat a slight endeavor that may have been better suited to a short film, maybe something that started up where she entered the store itself, taking advantage of how familiar the setup was to so many previous movies, Larson's sneaky, slow-building charisma carries the proceedings a long way, as it has many times before. She's a gifted comedian, and her vulnerability and sincerity make the dramatic moments pay off a lot more strongly than you'd expect them to in context. And while a limited budget is somewhat evident throughout, she also demonstrates a sharp eye and solid sense of pace as director. I doubt Unicorn Store is going to change anyone's life, or that it's the sort of thing that would exist at all if not for, hey, so Captain Marvel says she wants to make this unicorn movie, so that's what we're making. But it's cute and charming and mostly won me over, so 7 out of 10, give this one a look.